The massive space station that housed the Galactic Council hung like a shining jewel against the backdrop of a swirling purple gas giant. For centuries, it had been a symbol of peace and cooperation among the stars. But today, its halls echoed with the sound of blaring alarms and panicked voices. Zixtal, a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, rushed through the crowded corridors. His upper hands clutched important data pads while his lower ones pushed slower diplomats out of the way. As the lead representative of the Kulian Empire, he knew the gravity of the situation better than most. The emergency meeting chamber was already packed when Zixtal arrived. Beings of all shapes and sizes filled the room, from the tiny, floating meeple to the towering rocky Granak. The air was thick with a mixture of alien pheromones, each species exuding its own unique scent of fear and confusion. High Counselor Vreen, an ancient tentacled creature, called the meeting to order. Silence. His voice boomed, amplified by the room's acoustics. The chamber fell quiet, all eyes and sensory organs focused on the central holographic display. Fellow representatives, Vreen began, his voice grave, we face an unprecedented crisis. The species known as humans from the planet Earth has done the impossible. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Earth was supposed to be a backwater planet, barely worth noting in the vast expanse of the galaxy. Vreen continued, as you know, the Drekthar Confederation launched an invasion of Earth 6 solar cycles ago. They assured us that the primitive humans would be easily conquered, their resources claimed for the good of the Council. The holographic display flickered, showing images of the Drekthar's mighty warships descending upon the blue-green world called Earth. Many in the room nodded, remembering how they had dismissed the concerns of a few fringe scientists who warned against underestimating the humans. We were wrong, Vreen said, his tentacles writhing in agitation. Not only did the humans repel the invasion, but they have also utterly destroyed the Drekthar fleet. Gasps and cries of disbelief filled the chamber. The Drekthar were known for their military might. How could a primitive species defeat them so thoroughly? But Vreen wasn't finished. There's more, he said, his voice barely a whisper, yet heard by all. The humans have reverse-engineered Drekthar technology. They now possess faster-than-light travel capabilities, energy weapons, and shielding systems that rival our own. The holographic display changed, showing grainy footage of sleek, angular ships that were clearly of human design, yet incorporated advanced technologies that should have been far beyond their reach. The chamber erupted into chaos as the implications sank in. Zixtal felt his heart racing. This was impossible. No species had ever advanced so quickly. It went against everything they thought they knew about technological progression. Suddenly, the alarms blared again. The young aide rushed into the chamber, her scales pale with fear. High Counselor, she gasped, human ships have entered the system. The holographic display switched to a live feed from the station's sensors. A small fleet of Earth vessels, a mere dozen ships, had appeared at the edge of the system. They were tiny compared to the massive dreadnoughts of the Council races, and yet no one doubted the threat they posed. They're hailing us, the aide reported. Vreen hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Put them through. The face that appeared on the holographic display was unmistakably human. The being had 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth full of flat teeth. Its skin was a warm brown color, and it had short, dark hair on top of its head. When it spoke, its voice was calm, but there was an undercurrent of steel that sent shivers through the assembled aliens. Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We come seeking 2 things: reparations for the unprovoked attack on our world, and recognition of humanity as a sovereign galactic power. The chamber fell silent. The humans' demands were clear, and the unspoken threat behind them was obvious to all. Vreen's tentacles curled in distress. This is most irregular, he began, but Admiral Chen cut him off. So was the invasion of our homeworld, she said coldly. You have 1 planetary rotation to come to a decision. We await your response." The transmission cut off, leaving the council in stunned silence. As the representatives began to argue among themselves, Zixtal realized that everything had changed. The galaxy as they knew it would never be the same. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were here to stay. The Grand Council chamber, usually a place of order and decorum, had descended into chaos. Alien diplomats from 100 different worlds argued loudly, their voices a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and guttural sounds. The human ultimatum hung over them like a storm cloud, dark and threatening. High Counselor Vreen floated in the center of the room, his tentacles waving frantically as he tried to restore order. "Please, esteemed colleagues," he shouted, his translator struggling to be heard over the din. "We must approach this crisis with calm and reason." Slowly, the noise died down. The assembled representatives turned their attention back to Vreen, their alien faces a mix of fear, anger, and confusion. Zixtal, the blue-skinned Fugulian representative, stepped forward. "High Counselor," he said, his four hands gesturing nervously, "we cannot simply give in to these human demands. It would make the Council look weak." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Vreen's eye stalks drooped in resignation. "And what would you suggest, Representative Zixtal?" "That we fight. You've seen what they did to the Drekthar fleet." A hush fell over the room. The destruction of the Drekthar, once considered one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, was a sobering reminder of humanity's newfound strength. From the back of the chamber, a small, glowing orb floated forward. It was Tin, the representative of the ancient luminary race. Her soft, melodious voice filled the air. "Perhaps," she said, "we should consider the humans' perspective. Their world was attacked without provocation. Is it not natural that they seek justice?" Her words were met with uncomfortable shifting and muttering. No one wanted to admit that the Council had made a grave error in allowing the invasion of Earth. Suddenly, the doors to the chamber burst open. A young meeple, barely out of its larval stage, zipped into the room. "Urgent news," it squeaked, its tiny wings buzzing frantically. "The humans have taken control of the Drekthar homeworld." The chamber erupted once again. Vreen's tentacles curled in shock. "Impossible," he gasped. The Drekthar defenses were impenetrable. The meeple projected a holographic image in the center of the room. It showed human ships, sleek and deadly, hovering over the Drekthar capital city. The once mighty fortresses lay in ruins, and white flags of surrender fluttered from every tower. "This is unprecedented," Zixtal whispered, his four eyes wide with disbelief. "No species has ever managed to conquer a Council homeworld." Vreen turned to address the stunned representatives. "We can no longer ignore the reality of our situation," he said gravely. "The humans are not just defending themselves. They are actively reshaping the balance of power in our galaxy." As if on cue, another transmission came through. Admiral Chen's face appeared once more on the central display. This time, her expression was stern, almost pitying. "Galactic Council," she began, her voice echoing through the chamber. "We have taken control of the Drekthar homeworld. Their leaders are in custody, awaiting trial for war crimes against Earth." Gasps and cries of shock filled the room. Chen continued, undeterred. "Let this serve as a demonstration of humanity's resolve. We do not seek conflict, but we will not shy away from it. Your time to decide on our demands is running out." The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. Sin, the luminary orb, glowed softly as she spoke again. "We have underestimated the humans at every turn," she said. "First, we thought them too primitive to resist invasion. Then we assumed they would be satisfied with merely defending their world. Now they have proven capable of projecting power across the galaxy. We must adapt to this new reality." Vreen nodded slowly. "Representative Sin is right," he said. "We must negotiate with the humans in good faith. The alternative—" He left the thought unfinished, but everyone in the chamber understood the implication. As the council began to debate the terms they would offer to Earth, a sense of unease settled over the room. The galaxy had changed overnight, and at its center stood humanity, a species that had gone from obscurity to power in the blink of an eye. Zixtal looked out the chamber's window at the small fleet of human ships. They seemed so insignificant against the backdrop of stars, and yet they had reshaped the course of galactic history. For the first time in his long life, Zixtal felt an emotion he had never experienced before: respect for a younger race. The age of human ascendancy had begun, and the Galactic Council could only watch in awe and trepidation. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from across the cosmos huddled in small groups, whispering and debating. The clock was ticking. They had less than an hour left to respond to humanity's demands. High Counselor Vreen floated at the center of the room, his tentacles twitching with stress. "We must reach a decision," he announced, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. "The humans await our response." Zixtal, the blue-skinned Kuulian, stepped forward. "High Counselor, I believe I have a solution that might satisfy both parties." All eyes and sensory organs turned to Zixtal. Even Xin, the glowing luminary orb, drifted closer to listen. "Go on," Vreen said, a hint of hope in his voice. Zixtal cleared his throat. "We offer the humans a seat on the Galactic Council, not just as a member race, but as one of the ruling species." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. What Zixtal proposed was unprecedented. The ruling council had remained unchanged for millennia. In addition, Zixtal continued, raising his voice over the commotion. "We acknowledge their right to the Drekthar homeworld as reparation for the unprovoked attack on Earth." The chamber erupted into chaos. Some representatives shouted in anger, others nodded in agreement. Vreen's tentacles waved frantically, trying to restore order. Suddenly, a deep, rumbling voice cut through the noise. It was Grok, the massive, rocky representative of the Granok. "The Kuulian speaks wisely," Grok boomed. "The humans have proven their strength. Better to have them as allies than enemies." Slowly, the other representatives began to nod. The logic was undeniable. Vreen turned to the central communication panel. "Let us contact the humans with our proposal." The massive screen flickered to life, revealing Admiral Helena Chen's face. Her expression was neutral, but her eyes were sharp and alert. "Greetings, Admiral Chen," Vreen said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We have considered your demands and have a counter-proposal." Chen raised an eyebrow, but remained silent, waiting for Vreen to continue. "We offer humanity a permanent seat on the Galactic Council's ruling body," Vreen said. "This position comes with significant influence over galactic policy and access to advanced technologies from all member races." Chen's expression didn't change, but those watching closely noticed a slight widening of her eyes. Vreen continued, "Furthermore, we acknowledge your claim to the Drekthar homeworld as just compensation for their unprovoked aggression against Earth." For a long moment, Chen was silent. The council chamber was so quiet you could hear the hum of the station's life support systems. Finally, Chen spoke. "Your offer is interesting, High Counselor. However, we have one additional demand." Vreen's tentacles curled nervously. "Yes. We want the Drekthar leaders responsible for the attack on Earth to stand trial in a human court," Chen said, her voice firm. Zixtal stepped forward. "Admiral, surely the Galactic Court of Justice would be a more appropriate venue for such a trial." Chen's eyes flashed. "The Galactic Court that stood by and allowed the invasion of our world." "No, Representative Zixtal. If the Council truly wishes to make amends, they will agree to this condition." The representatives looked at each other uneasily. What Chen proposed was a significant departure from galactic law. And yet, could they afford to refuse? Vreen's eye stalks drooped in resignation. "Very well, Admiral. We agree to your terms." A small smile appeared on Chen's face. "Excellent. We accept your proposal, High Counselor." A human delegation will arrive at the Council station within the next solar day to begin the integration process. As the transmission ended, a mix of relief and apprehension washed over the Council chamber. They had avoided war, but at what cost? Sin, the luminary orb, glowed softly as she spoke. This is not an ending, my friends, but a beginning. The galaxy as we know it will change. Zixtal nodded in agreement. Indeed, the age of human ascendancy has truly begun. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, each lost in their own thoughts, one thing was clear: the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted irrevocably. Humanity, once considered a primitive species on a backwater planet, now stood poised to reshape the cosmos. The stars themselves seemed to twinkle with anticipation of the changes to come. The grand arrival hall of the Galactic Council station buzzed with anticipation. Alien diplomats from 100 worlds lined the walkways, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of colors and shapes. Today was the day humanity would officially take its place among the stars. High Counselor Vreen hovered nervously at the front of the receiving line, his tentacles twitching with each passing moment. Beside him stood Zixtal, Sin, and Grok, representing the major powers of the Council. Suddenly, the station's AI announced, "Human delegation approaching. Prepare for docking procedure." A hush fell over the crowd as a sleek, silver spacecraft gracefully entered the docking bay. It was smaller than most diplomatic vessels, but its design spoke of advanced technology that made many of the alien observers shift uncomfortably. With a soft hiss, the ship's airlock opened. The first to emerge was Admiral Helena Chen, her crisp uniform and confident stride drawing all eyes to her. Behind her came a diverse group of humans, scientists, diplomats, and what appeared to be military personnel. As Chen approached the Council leaders, Vreen extended a tentacle in what he hoped was a welcoming gesture. "Admiral Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we welcome humanity to our ranks." Chen smiled, an expression that some of the more predatory species found unsettling. "Thank you, High Counselor. We look forward to working together for a brighter galactic future." As the formal greetings were exchanged, Zixtal couldn't help but notice the subtle reactions of the other diplomats. Some seemed excited, others wary, and a few, particularly those from warrior cultures, looked at the humans with a mix of respect and fear. The procession moved to the Council chambers, where the official ceremony would take place. As they walked, Chen engaged in conversation with Sin, the luminary representative. "Your species has achieved much in a short time," Sin observed, her glowing form pulsing gently. "Many are curious about the secrets of your rapid advancement." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Necessity is the mother of invention, as we say on Earth. When faced with extinction, humanity tends to excel." The subtle warning in her words wasn't lost on those listening. Inside the Council chamber, the ceremony began. Vreen's voice echoed through the vast space as he officially recognized humanity's new status. "From this day forward, the species known as humans shall hold a permanent seat on the Galactic Council's ruling body, their homeworld, Earth, and their newly acquired territory. The former Drekthar homeworld are recognized as sovereign human space." As Chen stepped forward to take the oath of office, a commotion erupted from the back of the chamber. A group of Drekthar representatives, their scaly hides flushed with anger, pushed their way to the front. "This is an outrage," the lead Drekthar shouted, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid speech. "You cannot simply hand over our homeworld to these upstarts." The chamber fell silent, all eyes moving between the Drekthar and the humans. For a moment, it seemed as if the carefully negotiated peace might unravel. Then Admiral Chen stepped forward, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of steel. "Your leaders launched an unprovoked attack on our world. They now await trial for their crimes. Be thankful that we're allowing your people to remain on the planet at all." The Drekthar representative sputtered, but before he could respond, Grok, the massive Grenok, stepped between them. "The decision has been made," he rumbled. The humans have proven their strength. It would be wise not to test it further. Chastened, the Drekthar slunk back, but the tension in the room remained palpable. Vreen, desperate to salvage the ceremony, quickly continued. Now let us proceed with the integration of human technology and knowledge into the Council databases. As the humans began interfacing with the Council's central computer, gasps of astonishment echoed through the chamber. The speed at which the humans processed and adapted to the alien technology was unprecedented. Zixtal leaned over to Xin, whispering, "It's as if they've been preparing for this moment their entire existence." Xin's glow pulsed thoughtfully. "Perhaps they have. We may have underestimated them in more ways than we realized." As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Chen addressed the assembly. "We come in peace, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves and our allies. Let this be the beginning of a new era of cooperation and progress for all species." The chamber erupted in applause, but beneath the celebration, currents of unease ran through many of the alien representatives. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same. As the crowds began to disperse, Zixtal couldn't shake the feeling that they had just witnessed the first steps of a new galactic superpower. The age of human ascendancy had truly begun, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath in anticipation of what was to come. The great hall of Earth's newly established galactic court buzzed with tension. Alien diplomats, journalists, and curious observers from across the cosmos packed the viewing galleries. Today was the first day of the trial against the Drekthar leaders responsible for the invasion of Earth. Admiral Helena Chen sat in the front row, her face a mask of calm determination. Beside her, Zixtal shifted nervously, his forearms fidgeting with his official robes. As the Kuulian representative to the trial, he felt the weight of the galaxy's eyes upon him. A hush fell over the crowd as the accused were led in. The once proud Drekthar leaders, their scaly hides now pale and their postures slumped, shuffled to their designated area. Their eyes darted around the room, a mix of defiance and fear evident in their alien features. The human judge, a stern-faced woman named Justice Maria Rodriguez, entered the courtroom. "All rise," the bailiff announced, and a cacophony of movement filled the room as beings of all shapes and sizes struggled to show respect. "Be seated," Justice Rodriguez said, her voice firm but fair. "We are here today to begin the trial of the Drekthar leadership for crimes against humanity and violations of galactic law. How do the accused plead?" The lead Drekthar, a battle-scarred individual named Krazek, stood shakily. "We do not recognize the authority of this human court," he hissed, his translator struggling to convey the contempt in his voice. A murmur ran through the crowd. Zixtal leaned towards Admiral Chen. "Is this wise?" he whispered. Many in the council still questioned the legitimacy of this trial. Chen's eyes never left the Drekthar as she replied, "Justice must be seen to be done, Zixtal. The galaxy needs to understand that actions have consequences." Justice Rodriguez's gavel cracked like thunder. "Your objection is noted, but overruled. This court's authority has been recognized by the Galactic Council. The trial will proceed." Over the next few hours, the human prosecutors laid out their case. They presented evidence of the Drekthar's long-standing policy of exploiting primitive worlds, with Earth being their latest target. Holographic displays showed the devastation wrought by the initial invasion, and survivors gave emotional testimony about the horrors they had endured. As the day wore on, Zixtal found himself increasingly uncomfortable. The evidence against the Drekthar was damning, yes, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this trial was about more than just justice. It was a message to the galaxy. During a recess, he approached Chen. "Admiral, I must admit to some concern. This trial, it feels like more than just a legal proceeding." Chen's eyes met his, and for a moment, Zixtal saw the steel behind her diplomatic facade. "You're right, Zixtal. This isn't just about the Drekthar. It's about establishing a new order, one where the strong can't simply prey on the weak without consequences." As the trial resumed, The defense took its turn. The Drekthar advocates argued that they were simply following long-standing galactic traditions of expansion and resource acquisition. They pointed out that many council races had similar histories. Justice Rodriguez listened impassively, but many in the gallery shifted uncomfortably. The Drekthar's arguments hit too close to home for some. As the day's proceedings came to a close, Justice Rodriguez addressed the court. "We will reconvene tomorrow to hear final arguments. This court reminds all present that the eyes of the galaxy are upon us. The decision made here will set a precedent for interstellar law for generations to come." As the crowd filed out, discussions erupted everywhere. Some praised the humans for their commitment to justice, while others whispered concerns about the implications of this trial for their own species' past actions. Zixtal found himself walking alongside Sin, the luminary representative. "What do you make of all this?" he asked the glowing orb. Sin pulsed thoughtfully. "The humans are reshaping more than just galactic politics, Zixtal. They're challenging our very concept of interspecies ethics. It's unsettling, but perhaps necessary." As they exited the courthouse, they saw Admiral Chen speaking with a group of alien journalists. Her voice carried clearly across the plaza. "This trial isn't just about punishing the Drekthar. It's about setting a new standard for galactic civilization. Earth stands ready to defend not just ourselves, but any species facing unjust aggression." Zixtal felt a shiver run down his spine. In that moment, he truly understood the magnitude of humanity's impact on the galaxy. They weren't just a new power. They were a force for change, for better or worse. As the twin suns of Earth's new capital world set, casting long shadows across the courthouse steps, Zixtal couldn't help but wonder, what would tomorrow bring in this brave new galaxy shaped by humanity's rise? The massive shipyard orbiting Earth's moon buzzed with activity. Swarms of construction drones flitted between skeletal frameworks of ships, their welding arms throwing off sparks that glittered like stars. At the center of it all floated the pride of humanity's fleet, the HMS Defiant, Earth's first true battleship. Admiral Helena Chen stood at the viewing port of a nearby space station, her eyes fixed on the gleaming hull of the Defiant. Beside her, Zixtal's four eyes widened in a mix of awe and apprehension. "Impressive, isn't it?" Chen said, a hint of pride in her voice. "From defending our planet with retrofitted civilian ships to this in just a few years." Zixtal nodded slowly. "The speed of human advancement is unsettling to many in the council," he admitted. Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed as a voice over the intercom announced, "Unidentified ships entering the system. All personnel to battle stations." Chen's comm device buzzed. She answered quickly, her face hardening as she listened. "Understood. I'm on my way." She turned to Zixtal. "It seems we have uninvited guests. Care to join me on the bridge?" As they hurried through the station's corridors, Zixtal's mind raced. Who would dare attack Earth's home system? The humans had proven themselves more than capable of defending their territory. The bridge was a hive of activity when they arrived. Officers called out reports as holographic displays showed a group of sleek, predatory-looking ships entering the system. "Report." Chen barked as she took her place at the command chair. A young officer responded. "Admiral, we've identified the ships. They're Vraxian, Mom." A collective gasp went through the bridge. The Vraxians were notorious pirates and slavers, long considered untouchable due to their advanced technology and vast network of hidden bases. Chen's eyes narrowed. Seems they didn't get the memo about Earth's new status. "Let's educate them." She turned to her communications officer. "Hail the Defiant. Tell Captain Okonkwo it's time for a field test." Zixtal watched in fascination as the massive form of the Defiant began to move. Its engines flared to life, propelling it towards the incoming Vraxian fleet with surprising speed for a ship of its size. The Vraxian ships, realizing they had bitten off more than they could chew, began to scatter. But the Defiant was ready. Beams of energy lanced out from its weapon ports, catching two Vraxian ships mid-turn. The pirate vessels simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. By the cosmic winds, Zixtal breathed. What kind of weapons are those? Chen allowed herself a small smile, reversed engineered from Drekthar tech, with a few human improvements. We call it the Nova Cannon. The remaining Vraxian ships desperately tried to flee, but the Defiant was relentless. Its point defense systems swatted down incoming missiles like flies, while its own weapons tore through the pirates' shields as if they weren't there. In less than 10 minutes, it was over. The Vraxian fleet was reduced to drifting debris, with only a single ship remaining. Its engines were dark, and it was broadcasting a surrender signal. Chen nodded to her communications officer, informed the Defiant to take that ship in tow. I believe our scientists will be very interested in studying Vraxian technology. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Zixtal turned to Chen. Admiral, this demonstration of power, it will not go unnoticed in the galaxy. Chen's expression was solemn. That's the point, Zixtal. For too long, species like the Vraxians have preyed on those they deemed weaker. We're changing that equation. Later, as news of the battle spread across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Zixtal found himself bombarded with questions from other representatives, all wondering the same thing. How had humanity advanced so quickly? As the debate raged, Sin, the luminary representative, drifted to Zixtal's side. It seems, she said, her glow pulsing thoughtfully, that humanity's rise has triggered something of a galactic arms race. Zixtal nodded grimly. Indeed, every major power will be scrambling to match Earth's technology now. The balance of power has shifted once again. As the council chamber buzzed with worried discussions, Zixtal couldn't help but wonder, was this the beginning of a new era of peace enforced by human might, or the first step towards a conflict that would engulf the entire galaxy? One thing was certain, humanity had changed the cosmic playing field forever, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The Great Hall of Unity on Earth's new capital world, Novaterra, was filled to capacity. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy had gathered for this historic moment. Today, humanity would unveil its vision for the future of galactic civilization. Admiral Helena Chen stood at the podium, her presence commanding the attention of the diverse audience. Zixtal, seated in the front row, marveled at how far humanity had come in such a short time. Friends, allies, and fellow sentients, Chen began, her voice carrying easily through the hall. We stand at a crossroads in galactic history. For too long, our cosmos has been governed by the principle that might makes right. Today, we propose a different path. Holographic displays came to life around the hall, showing images of diverse alien worlds and species. Earth extends an invitation to all peaceful species to join what we call the Galactic Confederation. Chen continued. This will not be an empire, but a true partnership of equals. Together, we can explore the universe, advance science, and ensure the security of all member worlds. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some sounded excited, others skeptical. Zixtal noticed the Drekthar representatives shifting uncomfortably in their seats. But what of those who refused to join? A voice called out. It was Krazak, the former Drekthar leader who had been on trial. He had been allowed to attend as a show of human magnanimity. Will Earth force its will upon them? Chen's gaze locked onto Krazak. We will not force anyone to join, but we will no longer stand idle while the strong prey upon the weak. The Confederation will act as a peacekeeping force, intervening when necessary to prevent aggression and protect the rights of all sentient beings. The hall erupted in a mix of cheers and concerned muttering. Zixtal leaned over to Xin, the luminary representative. This is unprecedented, he whispered. Xin's glow pulsed in agreement. The humans are not just changing the balance of power, they're rewriting the rules of galactic politics. As the commotion settled, Chen continued. To demonstrate our commitment to this new era, Earth will be sharing some of its technological advancements with all Confederation members. Together, we will lift up all species, not just a privileged few. Gasps of surprise echoed through the hall. The idea of a dominant species willingly sharing its technological edge was almost unheard of. Furthermore, Chen added, "We propose the establishment of a galactic academy, where the brightest minds from all member species can come together to push the boundaries of science and exploration." As Chen outlined more details of the Confederation, Zixtal found himself torn between hope and apprehension. The human's vision was grand, perhaps too grand. Could it really work? After the presentation, as the delegates mingled and debated, Zixtal approached Chen. "Admiral, your proposals are ambitious. Many in the galaxy will see this as Earth attempting to establish dominion over all." Chen smiled, a mix of determination and weariness in her eyes. "We understand the risks, Zixtal, but we've seen where the old way of doing things leads. Endless cycles of conquest and retaliation. We believe there's a better way." Before Zixtal could respond, alarms blared throughout the hall. A young human officer rushed up to Chen, whispering urgently in her ear. Chen's face hardened. She turned to address the now silent crowd. "We've just received word that a coalition of isolationist species has launched attacks on several Confederation worlds. They claim they're resisting Earth's tyranny." The hall erupted in panic. Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Remain calm. This is precisely why the Confederation is necessary. We will respond, not with blind retaliation, but with a measured defense of our allies and an open hand to those who wish to talk." As the human military machine sprang into action, coordinating with allied species, Zixtal realized he was witnessing the true test of humanity's vision. Would they stay true to their ideals in the face of aggression, or would they become the very thing they sought to change? Sin drifted to his side, her glow pulsing rapidly. "It seems the galaxy is not yet ready for peace," she observed. Zixtal nodded grimly. "Perhaps not. But for the first time in eons, I feel hope. The humans have shown us a glimpse of what could be. Now it's up to all of us to make it a reality." As the delegates were ushered to safety and Earth's fleets mobilized, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Humanity had risen from an unknown backwater to reshape the cosmic order. Now, they would face their greatest challenge yet, bringing peace to the stars. The story of humanity's ascendancy was far from over. In fact, it seemed the greatest chapters were yet to be written.